Will Nightcrawler and his legionaries be able to untangle the twisted web of the body-stealing Skinjacker? The runaway god of mischief and a vengeful mutant alien? Well, let's hop into the pages of Legion of X issue number 5, the grand finale to this opening arc, and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Switch, the evil body-stealing Skinjacker, had completed his ultimate goal of stealing the body of David Hallier, aka Legion. This means that his amazing godlike power is now in evil hands. It's a good thing, though, that Switch is ultimately such a dullard and doesn't quite know how to actually activate all of Legion's different amazing superpowers, though admittedly he does know just enough to completely destroy the altar and all the people who dwell within it, which is pretty bad. Luckily, though, thanks to Krakoa and the Spark, Legion officially has more friends now than he ever has before, including his girlfriend Blindfold, who decides to try and knock Synch out of Legion's body. Believe it or not, though, this isn't the worst thing that the Legion of X is dealing with right now, because at that very moment, Arbitrix, uber-powerful leader of the Inward Watch of Eriko and the #1 god hunter of Mars, comes to Krakoa looking for runaway god of mischief Tumult so that he may be taken to fight for his life in the arena in keeping with the ancient Eriko practices regarding deities. As Kurt is very quick and very hilarious to note, geez lady, you couldn't have come at the worst possible time. Can we finish off your storyline next week? Especially considering that Nightcrawler had actually managed to piece together a bunch of clues revealing that it was actually Arbitrix herself who had given Tumult life on Eriko as part of a bigger scheme to have the god of mischief sow seeds of chaos on Mars, in doing so making it so the people of Eriko would put more faith in Arbitrix and the Inward Watch, giving them more political power. In fact, Tumult only ended up running in the first place once he knew full well that Arbitrix would try and kill him to cover her tracks. And once she gets outed for being one giant religious hypocrite, she decides that she's going to use her power to destroy everything that she looks at with her giant eyeball to kill all the witnesses. And you know what? She probably would have gotten away with this plan too if it weren't for the Legion of X actually tying up a bunch of their own different storylines from throughout the first arc. We have Tumult, the mischief god himself, taking to heart all the things that Nightcrawler had told him in the previous issue and deciding that, you know what, he doesn't need some evil psycho believing in him to give him power. Tumult is comfortable enough to believe in himself for once. After Switch gets cut off from his godly power, it doesn't take Pixie long to drive him out of Legion's body using her magic knife. Honestly, I didn't think the magic knife thing would come back. A plus for the extra effort. With Legion back in control of his own body, he decides to defend the altar at all costs, even if that means waking up all of his different split personalities to charge Arbitrix and absorb her hit. This plan ultimately ends up working, and Weaponless Zen, now the highest ranking member within the Inward Watch, leads the charge to arrest Arbitrix for crimes against Eriko. In fact, as we discover, they've already ratted Arbitrix out to the Regent of Mars, Storm herself. Unfortunately, they find themselves in quite a legal quagmire when it comes to what to do next with Arbitrix. Yes, she's a hypocrite. Yes, she broke the laws that she herself wrote when it came to the mutants of Eriko worshipping gods, but at the same time, Tumult didn't actually kill anyone on Mars. And Arbitrix is still incredibly powerful and incredibly influential within the Council of Eriko, so it looks like she's going to get to live this time, only, have to live with blackmail hanging over her head, or eyeball in this case. Weaponless Zen also mentions the fact that the people of Eriko need to have their bloodlust sated, and because of that, they're all going to have to take part in a little bit of political theater. You see, if Switch was able to take over the bodies of other mutants, then it would reason that Tumult the god would be able to do the exact same thing. Yep, that's right, Switch and Tumult end up switching places so the mutants of Eriko can get a godhead to hang on their wall after all. Whether or not getting ripped to pieces by the mutants of Eriko is better or worse than getting sent down to the core of Krakoa the island, that's up for debate. This also ends up being the last ritualistic god slaying in Eriko history, as Arbitrix is also forced to rescind a lot more of her harsher laws when it comes to deity worship on Mars. The mutants of Eriko are now free to live and worship however they see fit, and Weaponless Zen thinks that this is a very good thing. After all, Arbitrix's plan to sow seeds of fear and chaos on Mars ultimately didn't work. Instead, when people were met with the threat of a god, they just found new and interesting solutions to their problems. In the end, they kind of ended up finding their own spark, didn't they? And hey, speaking of finding your own way. Weaponless Zin doesn't actually stay behind with Nightcrawler, even though it's clear Kirk wanted her to. You see, with Arbitrix dead, Weaponless Zin is actually free from her promise not to go to war anymore, something that she clearly very much wanted to. In fact, they heavily imply that Weaponless Zin may very well have let Switch out of his cage after the Legionaries caught him the first time, knowing full well that this is how it would all probably shake out, and she was right. But you know what? There was yet another player here who was also pulling strings. You'll remember Mother Righteous, who has been hanging out around the periphery of this story. Well, as we discover, it was actually her who sold Tumult to Arbitrix in the first place. And only now, after Arbitrix's plans have failed, has Mother Righteous come to collect on that debt. What was the payment? Well, a soul, of course. But wait, there's more. It's also heavily implied that Mother Righteous only got involved in this deal in the first place so that she could get a little bit closer to Legion because, well, I mean, what a god, right? Surely he would make an amazing addition to Mother Righteous's collection, or an amazing bargaining chip to be bought and sold at a later date. And so that was Legion of X issue number 5, everybody, the end of the first chapter in this brand new Si Spurrier series. And overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I will say, though, the wait in between issues was certainly really hard to deal with. The last issue came out in August, and this one is coming out in late September, early October. Thank God I had my old video reviews to go back and reference, or else I probably wouldn't have known what was going on here, because Legion of X is such a deeply layered series with so many things going on. In fact, while that's something I like about the series, it's also something I think that it doesn't do quite as well as the previous Way of X. I miss the more one-and-done centric stories. I know that's more of a personal thing on my end, as I think one-and-done comic stories are kind of a dying art form. That's why I'm also maybe most excited to see what this book does as a Judgment Day tie-in, considering that that event is all about gods and faith and judgment and, you know, basically topics that this book is juggling all the time. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid conclusion, and I actually think it's going to read a lot better in trade when you can sit down and absorb it all in one go. Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.